Voy a grabar esto. ¿Tienes la cámara apagada, Inés? Ahora sí.
Hola, César.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Estoy realmente muy perdida.
Uy,
Así que después de... ¿Me escucha?
sí, un poquito entrecortado, pero se escucha.
Después de que Pedro nada, que sentí la necesidad de que porque estoy muy bloqueada.
Se le cae, debe tener la conexión muy... Ya. Ok, le damos el paso a Inés después, pues se le cayó la conexión. The microphone is open, Jivanand.
I have a question.
Good.
Shall I say it? Is it my turn?
Yeah, the other person lost the connection, so...
Okay, you say I am, and then blank. You don't even have to hold on to it. It's just blank. But then after some time, some thoughts start again. Then what?
Yeah, then what? What blank?
Then I have to say I am. I can't say I am all the time, no.
Who sees the blank? I am. Who sees the thought? I am. Who doesn't see any thought? I am. Right? So the I am is always there. No? Can't.
Yeah.
As long as there is awakened state, or the awakened state is standing, right? But as long as it lasts, the I am lasts. Now this blank is a mind game.
By blank, I mean no thoughts, just nothing.
Good.
Thoughts did stop.
Thoughts, plural. So the I thought still is there, blank. So the mind is still playing games.
When the thoughts stop again, what do I do?
Sorry? Nothing.
When the thoughts return, what do I do?
Then from where did they come from? The attention goes
Process.
the same process. Go back to the I am again and again and again and again.
Okay.
Until the I am loses the identity with the body. When the I am the body, that thought disappears. When it becomes obvious that you are not limited to a particular name and form.
So I repeat I am as many times as necessary.
Well, you can interrupt the thoughts with the thought I am. It's not necessary, but if it helps, why not? Because you know that you are the consciousness of the thought. See? Who is conscious of the thought I am? This I am is not a thought. It's a very subtle sense of self, but it's not a thought. It's a sense of being only. It's beingness. Consciousness is beingness. Beingness is knowingness also. When the I thought disappears, knowingness doesn't see anything separate from itself. Everything is itself. But still, this knowingness, this beingness, right? It's not the ultimate reality. It's a pale reflection of the ultimate reality. Nobody says it's bad or wrong or it shouldn't be there. It's just, it's a reflection of the light emanating from the absolute by the means of the undifferentiated energy in the brain that brings consciousness, I amness, beingness into existence. Knowingness. So to be free from thoughts is plural, right? Thoughts. You, he, she, it, and what we think about it is gone, right? So the thought, I, the singular, the first person, see, still is there. So this thought, I, disappears also. That the seer of thought and the seer of no thoughts, plural. So the seer of thoughts and the seer of no thoughts still is me. So seeing disappeared. Seer hasn't disappeared yet. Inés, a lo que terminé de hablar con Jivananda, hablo contigo otra vez, que creo que se te cayó la señal y la conexión es muy lenta, parece allá. Are you following, Jivanand?
Yes, yes.
Because who is free from thoughts is Jivanand. Can you see that? So apparently Jivananda is the thinker of the thought. In reality, Jivananda is thought.
It's a thought.
Yes, a thought. How do you say it in French?
Une pensée.
Ah,
Une pensée. Une pensée. Una pensiera
okay,
in Italian.
good. So this thought is that you're holding. Holding means that you are looking at it, right? See the seer, and that's the seer is I. When the seeing disappears, then the seer must disappear sooner or later. If not even there, but it's a way of speech. It only appears to be there. It's an appearance in consciousness. So the I thought is still is the I am, which is not a thought. Thinking is the body.
I am does not refer to the body.
Sorry?
I am does not refer to the body.
I am what? It's not what?
It doesn't refer to the body.
I am is everybody, but it appears to be only one. See, when you lose the identity with
I
one
am
body,
is not.
I am is what?
I am is not what the body says. It's not connected to body.
Well,
I am is.
I am is still is reflected in the brain. It still is consciousness.
Okay, but there's no other method. That's the method.
No, this is not a method. This is for the mind stop using any method. See? But to see the seer is to be the consciousness that you are. So the consciousness that you are loses identity with the body. And then the absolute that you are can reveal itself by itself as it is. And then you realize that the relative consciousness and the absolute consciousness are one and the same. The absolute consciousness is that which is aware of the I amness, see? Of consciousness, or whatever you like to call it. The absolute is beyond consciousness. And beyond the absolute, there is nothing that I know. The yamness is called the relative because it has relative existence. It also appears and disappears.
Okay, I am, then no thoughts, then again, after some time, thoughts again.
Good, no problem. Who cares?
At that point, again, I am, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Keep on bringing the attention to the I am. For now, it's a stock, so to speak, in the I am the body idea, in the I thought. Apparently, Jivanan is bringing the attention to the I amness. That's impossible because Jivanan is a thought. To where a thought can put the attention on, it's just a thought. It's an image in the brain. It's identified neuron activity. It's brain activity that carries body identity.
There's going to be many many repetitions.
As many as it is necessary.
Okay, so that's okay.
That's okay. Not everybody is like Ramana Maharshi, like bang. And ego never come back. Even if the ego comes back for a while. Remember, mano laya, mano nasa. Temporary absence of the ego sense, and eventually permanent absence of the ego sense. In reality, the ego doesn't even exist. It's a temporary understanding that the ego doesn't exist. Better to say. Thoughts in the brain gives impression, the thoughts reflected in the brain, see, this shadow, right? Gives the impression that there is a person, isn't it? That there is somebody there. Yes or no?
No.
What do you mean by no? Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking the question. Apparently, a person is asking the question.
So this blank is not the origin of the thought at all.
No, no, no. If it is seen, if there is a blank, there is consciousness of the blank. So the blank still is seen. It's a mind game.
Well, at least the thoughts have stopped.
Good.
For a while.
Good.
Okay.
But the I thought hasn't gone for a while yet.
Not recently.
Only thoughts, plural. See, you, he, she, it, and what is thought about you, he, she, it. The I thought, the singular, right, still is present. It hasn't collapsed yet. Means body identity hasn't collapsed yet. Because it will become obvious. There is body consciousness, but there is no identity with one body. You will lose your identity with the singular, right? But you regain an identity with a totality of form, right? Doesn't mean everything is consciousness. That is non-duality, non-separation. But this is at the level of consciousness. The absolute couldn't care less. This is samadhi. Right? The absolute doesn't need any samadhi or anything. It's just there seeing consciousness going bananas, trying to lose identity with the body.
All right. Oh,
But this is super important to be understood. First thought, I means body. See, I still means body. This is why people say that the body is the mind. That doesn't mean that the mind created the body, that the mind is the world. The body is the world, right? Because the thought world, right? I, and then the world, right? The world is you, he, she, it. And people say, oh, the world is a mental creation, that the mind creates. This is a thought. The thought is part of the creation. You cannot create a thing. So thoughts. First thought, I. Meaning by that body. I amness is your subjectivity, right? Your subject, not a subject, but subjectivity. When identified self with the body, it appears to be a subject. It gives apparently subjectivity to a body. Now the body is the subject. Who is the subject? I, right? And I am perceiving objects as separate from myself. First I, and then you. Duality. I'm separate from you, separation. I am different from you, differentiation. I am independent from you, you there and me here. I don't need you. I'm independent. I'm an independent woman, an independent man. It's an independent country. Independence Day, and all the nonsense that comes along with it. And then comes the value system. I am better than you, worse than you, right? I am material, I am spiritual, I am religious, I am non-religious. I believe in God, I don't believe in God. It is all thought. So when the attention goes to the I thought, to the seer, then you, he, she, it, the objects, but not the actual thing. Right? The thoughts disappear. But the I thought, the seer still is there. Are you listening? Following? Good. And the seeing disappear. And the seer will disappear. Right? And then there is only seeing, experience as being, or consciousness. Beyond that is the absolute. And between seeing and the absolute, there is the undifferentiated energy. Right?
yes. Okay.
Shakti or Kundalini or whatever you like to call it.
Mm.
When the mind is quiet, leave it. Leave it. The mind is like a spoiled child. If you give it a stern look, it becomes still. Still is there,
Mhm.
but it's not misbehaving, mischieving, telling stories, complaining, worshipping, criticizing, judging, and all that stuff. It collapses by its own weight.
Mhm.
Why in many cases it doesn't collapse so quickly? Because I still have too much ideas, concepts, beliefs, right? Mind is the content of consciousness. Consciousness is contained, it's a content. Okay? The content that is contained, right? In the undifferentiated energy. Ego is a possibility manifested, see? And the absolute is a container of all that. Then the absolute understanding comes. Right? There are no two, one containing the other. There is no container and the contained. Right? Everything is the absolute. Therefore, the absolute alone is, and there is no more everything anymore. See, everything disappears. World disappears, body disappears, mind disappears, consciousness disappears, and the energy also disappears. Meaning by that, has been separate or united. See? Either neither as this nor that. See? Because there is neither this nor that. See? That alone is. And then that concept also disappears. That alone is also is gone. And that is a conceptless state. There is absolute no clue. Absolutely no clue.
There is something that you call beingness.
Beingness is consciousness, yes. I amness, knowingness, sense of self. This conscious self. eh, Who is the conscious being now? I am. But it still appears to be the body. That's the whole point. And this self appears to be self-aware. And it cannot be self-aware. Okay? Because there is awareness of the conscious self. Right? Even the cat is saying, I am. See?
All right then.
Знаешь почему?
Ready? Where's the cat? Inés?
Madre mía. Es que parece que no hay una buena
Sí, no hay, sí, no tienes buena.
César, hola César. Si prueba de apagar la cámara,
Sí, la tiene apagada.
¿Me escucha?
no, la tiene encendida.
No, está oscuro.
No, no está encendida la cámara de Inés.
Inés,
Acá
trata
la
de
veo.
Ajá. Apaga la cámara a ver si tienes mejor señal. Uy. No. Ahí está de nuevo Inés. A ver si ahora funciona.
César, ¿me oye? ¿Me oye ahora? Vale. Voy a quitar la cámara, ¿vale? ¿Me escucha ahora?
Sí, te escucho.
Sí. Mira, cuando me iniciaste en la indagación, estaba bien, me sentía conectada con esa energía que era como que estaba yo quería que fuera natural, que he perdido
No, Inés, no se te entiende
no
nada.
dejo de sentir,
No se
tengo
entiende
que
nada. Se pierde todo.
conectar contigo.
Tienes que buscar una mejor conexión de internet. Se volvió a caer, creo. Any questions?
Есть ли вопросы?
Marina Stark.
Здравствуйте, Цезарь. Здравствуйте, Настя. Меня слышно?
Здравствуйте, да.
Вопрос такой. Я пытаюсь практиковать, то есть как-то наблюдать за мыслями и самоисследование, если можно назвать так. Но оно не получается. А вопрос в следующем, что получалось, когда Цезарь, получается, это делал, когда вот в прошлые разы были. То есть когда Цезарь говорит, смотри на мысли, я их вижу. Сам я пытаюсь сделать, не получается. И я не понимаю, это только Цезарь может так сделать, чтобы у меня получалось, и у самого у меня не получится таким образом практиковать, чтобы было это состояние.
I'm doing the self-inquiry by myself. It doesn't work. When I'm doing it together with you, there it works. Will I never be able to do it by myself?
No, eventually you will.
Нет, в конечном итоге у вас будет получаться у самого.
То есть просто практиковать и все, и ничего не ждать.
Do I just need to carry on with the practice?
It's not a practice. Inquiry ceases the practices
Это
and
не
the
практика.
practice self.
Исследование заставляет исчезнуть и практику, и практикующего.
Practices are mental.
Практики ментальны.
Why people call it spiritual practices? They are all mental practices.
Почему эти практики называют духовными, если они ментальные все?
The absolute is a spirit. Spirit doesn't need to practice anything.
Абсолют — это дух. Духу ничего не нужно практиковать.
Consciousness also doesn't need to practice anything.
Сознание тоже не надо практиковать.
You believe it needs to practice something.
Но оно считает, что да.
Who is the practicer?
Кто такой практикующий?
And the practicer stops.
Тогда практикующий замирает.
Apparently, there is a practicer.
По-видимому, существует какой-то практикующий.
That's what we are questioning.
И это то, в чем мы сомневаемся. То, что мы ставим под вопрос.
then the mind is still.
тогда ум становится спокойнее.
It's not practicing.
Он больше не практикует.
Apparently, the I still is a body that is not practicing. See,
Кажется, что я — это все еще тело, которое не практикует.
who is the practicer? I.
Кто такой практикующий? Это
Ага.
я.
So practices disappear,
Практики исчезают.
and the practicer without any practices also disappear.
Практикующий, когда у него не остается никаких практик, тоже исчезает.
Pretty much.
Да.
In general, it works like that.
В целом это работает вот так.
When we are together, I keep on hearing that.
Я продолжаю слышать то же самое, что и вы сказали. Что
That,
когда мы вместе работаем,
that it is either easy to keep the mind quiet,
что либо легче удерживать ум тихим,
or the mind just keeps quiet by itself.
либо что ум замолкает сам по себе.
But Caesar has nothing to do with that.
Но Цезарь не имеет никакого отношения к этому.
So don't blame Caesar for that,
Так что не приплетайте Цезаря сюда.
or makes him responsible for any of it.
Не говорите, что он в этом виноват.
In general, leave Caesar alone.
В целом вообще тоже Цезаря оставьте в покое.
Caesar was left alone also long time. Caesar was left alone some time ago. And eyelash. Oh, let's do it. Make a wish. I wish she was. Pretty much.
Спасибо. Понимаю, спасибо.
If the mind is quiet, don't spoil it.
Если ум тихий, то не портите это.
See, in few cases, very rare
В некоторых случаях, и это очень редко,
that the ego collapses and never comes back.
эго отпадает, коллапсирует и больше не возвращается.
The only one that I am aware of is Ramana Maharshi.
Единственный такой случай, который я знаю, это Рамана Махарши.
In any other cases, it comes back.
Во всех остальных случаях эго возвращается.
And it's also very rare
И также очень редко,
that somebody brings the attention from the object to the subject, object disappears, and seer disappears straight away. That's very rare.
бывает такое, что кто-то переносит внимание с объекта на субъект, объект исчезает, и субъект тоже сразу же исчезает.
In most cases,
В большинстве
the
случаев
subject still is there.
субъект все еще остается,
Because still there are too many concepts,
потому что концепций все еще слишком много,
beliefs, right?
убеждений много,
Desires,
желаний,
likes and dislikes,
предпочтений
and so on.
и так далее.
So the inquiry does what any other practice does.
Исследование делает. Inquiry does what any other
Yes.
practice does.
All the practices are contained in the inquiry.
Все практики содержатся в исследовании.
The mind becomes to be released from its content.
Ум освобождается от своего содержимого.
And the content begins to get dissolved in the absolute.
Содержимое начинает растворяться в абсолюте.
The cyclic, undifferentiated energy begins to work in a destructive mood.
Потенциальная творческая энергия начинает работать в режиме разрушения,
Dissolving mood.
в режиме растворения.
Then the mind begins to get balanced.
Он начинает балансироваться.
The swinging from dullness to activity becomes less and less and
Становится
less
меньше
and less and less.
вот этого качания между вялостью и активностью.
Even the spiritual desires are an obstacle.
Даже духовные желания являются препятствием.
Even including the desire for enlightenment is an obstacle.
Желание просветления — это препятствие.
So who wants enlightenment? I.
Кто хочет просветления? Я.
Right? How can a thought get enlightened?
А как мысль может просветлеть?
When the so-called experience of enlightenment is the absence of the one that wants enlightenment.
Опыт просветления — это отсутствие того, кто желает просветления.
Too much wanting or not wanting, see,
Слишком много того, чего мы хотим или не хотим,
either material or spiritual.
либо духовного, либо материального.
Spiritual, I don't want to reincarnate.
Духовное желание — это типа того, что я не хочу реинкарнировать.
I don't want these bad thoughts.
Я не хочу, чтобы у меня были эти плохие мысли.
I only want pure thoughts.
Я хочу только чистые мысли.
I only want spiritual thoughts.
Хочу только духовные мысли.
I only want the thoughts about God.
Мысли о Боге.
Right? I don't want to think about girls and money and
Не хочу думать о девушках и деньгах.
I'm not interested.
Мне это все не интересно.
I renounce the world,
Я отрекаюсь от мира.
right? See, what has to be in the renounce, what has to be renounced is the renouncer itself.
Тот, чего нужно отречься, это сам тот, кто отрекается.
Are you following?
От того, кто отрекается.
So too much mindless stuff.
Все это слишком от ума. И этого всего слишком много.
So a person that is sick and tired of all of it,
Тот, кому все это осточертело,
of wanting or not wanting, see,
хотение и нехотение,
then that's very rare.
таких очень мало.
I'm not going to say this in a way that to place myself as better, higher, all this nonsense.
Я не говорю это для того, чтобы себя высветить как лучшего или более превосходящего других.
That was Mr. Ratanlal told me, you are very rare.
Мистер Ратанлан сказал мне, ты это редкий случай.
When attention is moved from the object to the subject,
Когда внимание переходит с субъекта, извините, с объекта на субъект,
from the seeing to the seer,
с видимого на видящего,
the object seen disappear,
объект или видимое исчезает,
and the subject here disappear.
и тогда субъект или видящий исчезает.
More rare is the one that doesn't even need to be told about the inquiry.
Еще более редкий случай — это те, кому вообще не надо даже говорить об исследовании.
Only by listening to this is enough.
Достаточно просто слушать это.
More rare is the one that
Еще более редкий
doesn't need to hear anything.
— это те, кому вообще ничего не нужно слышать.
It is just in the physical presence of the so-called personal God or guru.
У них все
Bang.
происходит само просто при физическом присутствии так называемого личностного бога или гуру.
And Ramana Maharshi and few others, they are not rare, they are exceptions.
Романы и некоторые другие, они даже не редкие, они это исключения.
Even Ramana Maharshi said so.
Даже Романа говорила,
The mind has to be merged in its source again and again until never arises again.
нужно возвращать ум в его источник снова и снова до тех пор, пока он вообще больше не появится.
Romper el hielo ha sido importante. Gracias. Lo intento en otro momento. Siempre podré mandarte un mensaje y que me lo contestes en la reunión. Seguro. Puedes, está por ahí. Trate de ponerlo tal vez en un audio o en texto por acá. Susana está aquí. Only Susana de G. Ah, Susana de G. A ver. Ah, no, Inés, perdón, Inés. No es Susana, sino Inés.
Está abierto tu audio, ¿eh? Y el mismo.
No les dé pena, no les dé pena hablar, qué pena. Cuando me iniciaste, todo iba bien, me sentía sintonizada, pero con el tiempo sentía que había un esfuerzo, esfuerzo, y me dejé llevar, pero creo que esto hizo que me guiase hasta tal punto que he perdido interés en todos los conceptos, solo persiste el interés en ti. Mm. Yo soy eso y ustedes también. César simbólicamente para ustedes representa eso, ¿sí? Es un nombre y una forma que representa a aquellos que no tienen nombre ni forma. El interés en mí, en este sentido, en este contexto, va a estar allí hasta que no tengas interés en ti. ¿Mm? Si el buscador desaparece, el gurú desaparece. ¿Mm? Ahora, no entiendo esta parte liada como sentía que había una fuerza, un esfuerzo, y me dejé llevar. Pero creo que esto hizo que me liase. Sí, sí. A ver, mucha gente confunde. Una de las confusiones más grandes es la apatía, la mente tamásica, la mente apática como el estado natural. Y muchos caen en esa trampa, no digo que seas tú, pero para como conocimiento general, ¿verdad? Muchos buscadores no quieren hacer nada. No quieren trabajar, no quieren salir de la casa, no quieren hacer nada. ¿Sí? No quieren practicar, no quieren leer, no quieren vivir. Es apatía y confunden ese estado con el estado natural. Otros confunden el estado libre de pensamientos plural. Cuando no pienso acerca de tú, él, ella, esto, eso. ¿Mm? Como el estado natural. Porque todavía el pensamiento yo singular, la primera persona del singular está allí. La mente todavía está allí, quieta, pero no ha colapsado. ¿Sí? No se ha sumergido en su fuente la primera vez. Luego, se pierde la identificación con el cuerpo, desaparece la mente temporalmente y queda solamente ese ser conciencia. Y piensan que ese ser conciencia es la realidad última. Otros empiezan a experimentar la energía, ¿okay?, que manifestó todo eso que acabamos de explicar, que acabamos de decir, y piensan que la energía es la realidad última. La realidad última está más allá de todo eso, y es aquello que ve, por decirlo de alguna manera, todo eso. Pero lo ve ni como separado ni unido, como él mismo, o como sí mismo. Por ende no ve nada, ¿sí? Solo sí mismo, solo se conoce a sí mismo, no sabe nada. Entonces quedan estancados o en la mente en blanco, o Lola,
Lola.
estaba revisando la basura, jovencita, y... Si la mente en blanco, o la mente tamásica, o la mente quieta, o la no mente, ¿sí? La conciencia, o la energía. Todo es energía, y soy la energía, y la energía. Entonces a veces se canta victoria muy rápido, ¿ok? Se abandona, se deja todos los conceptos, esto y lo otro, pero no se abandona al que dice que abandona todo. Y está bien, no pasa nada. A la final todo eso es una historia. Todos esos pensamientos que son colectivamente el pensador, el pensamiento yo. Con respecto a la creencia de que la energía es la realidad última, me acuerdo un científico de la NASA, astronauta creo, yo no sé qué era. La historia va más o menos así, vino como de incógnito ver quién era este señor en la India, en Puttaparthi, porque parece que tomaron una foto de un satélite o algo, y había un punto de luz enorme, y no sabían qué era. Y Baba lo mandó a llamar. Claro, la luz aparece para que lo vea, para la curiosidad. Sí, tiene que generar algo para que genere la curiosidad, pero en realidad el absoluto está más allá de la luz. ¿Ah? Si lo llama y le pregunta qué es la materia. Dice un montón de protones, electrones, neutrones vibrando, bla, bla, bla. ¿Y qué los mueve? Él le dice la energía. ¿Y de dónde? Esta pregunta es súper interesante. ¿Y de dónde surgió la energía? Dice, eso no lo sabemos todavía. Y Baba le dice, eso soy yo. Es decir, que el absoluto está más allá, inclusive de esa energía no diferenciada. Que es la misma que la diferenciada, la que pareciera que fueran diferentes formas, diferentes objetos. No diferenciada, no manifiesta, potencial, y diferenciada, manifiesta, donde esa potencialidad, esa posibilidad hasta ahorita, aparece. Entonces la mente tamásica es la que produce el abandono, ¿sí? A la indagación, a los conceptos. Los conceptos se abandonan cuando se convierten en obstáculos porque se cae en la trampa, una especie de identificación con los conceptos y una especie de yoidad espiritual. ¿Sí? Entonces empieza te ataca en la cabeza e inconscientemente se utilizan los conceptos para seguir pensando, ¿no? O se abandona el contacto físico con lo que llaman gurú o Dios personal. Se abandona la devoción. El bastón de la devoción es necesario hasta cierto punto. La devoción por el gurú físico no es a él. No es amor a él, sino amor por lo que él dice, que es la verdad, ese amor a la verdad. Como concepto, por supuesto. Claro, a veces se le ama a él o a ella porque te dice la verdad y la verdad te lleva hasta la verdad que tú eres. ¿No? Y aun cuando se libere uno del ego, esa dualidad aparente continúa. Es más, esa dualidad aparente es mucho más bonita sin ego que con ego, porque es mucho más real, es mucho más honesta, es mucho más sincera, es mucho más simple, es mucho más directa. ¿Mm? O sea, la presencia del gurú físico lleva a la realización del gurú real, sin nombre y sin forma, más allá de lo físico, metafísico, que eventualmente se conoce como lo que uno es. Muy raro, again, de nuevo. Son muy pocos. Inclusive Ramana dijo, cuando le dijeron, pero usted no tuvo gurú físico. Y si no lo tuve ahora, lo tuve antes. Ay, loca, loca. Qué pacha, loca, loca. Ahora vamos a tener que barrer todo porque pelos tuyos por todos lados. Y toda la casa huele a ti. Siempre que te conozco, ven. Ven, ven. Eso. Hola, hola a todo el mundo. Okay. Маленький вопрос. What is that? I was going to answer a question for Ines. What was the name from the girl from Lithuania?
Who?
The girl from Lithuania. No, Julia. Isn't it Julia? The kids were asking from where the kids are coming from, how are they made of? It's not here. Oh, maybe this one. No messages here neither. No questions on Facebook. Only one. No, there you are. What are your kids?
Sleeping.
I'm
Hi.
sleeping.
Yeah, they sleep at this time. How are you?
I'm good.
What
Don't you
time is
know-
it?
Here it is 3:25 p.m. Don't you know the answer to the question from where the kids are coming from?
People on the planet. They mean.
People on the planet, same answer. All the bodies come here by the same means, right?
But I want to know where it's all started, the starting point.
The absolute.
How
In
do I
reality-
explain the
In
concept
reality,
of absolute?
oh, tell them the truth. See, some people believe that children will not understand, even if they don't understand. See, whatever it is perceived through the senses produces an impact, right? So this knowledge eventually also will produce an impact. So many people that call themselves knowledgeable people, they will argue with Ramana when Ramana will read to kids this knowledge, right? Or talk to them. And they say, what did you tell to the kids about all this? They will not understand. And I say, not now. It enters here, it's like a seed, right? And it will grow sooner or later. So why not tell them the truth? Instead of let the society and the culture, see, brainwash them, right? With the stories of, so why lie them now and then tell them the truth later, right?
So what is absolute?
The absolute is something that it is nameless and formless, beginningless, endless, without characteristics and qualities and attributes, right? That is called absolute existence, right? God, if you wish, it doesn't matter. In reality, nothing emerged from the absolute, right? Because it amounts to say that the wave arises from the ocean. There is not anything arising from the ocean. The wave is the ocean, and the ocean is the wave. Therefore, the ocean alone is. Are you following?
Yeah, of course.
In the same way, everything is God. God alone is, if you want to call it God. The thing that God is a name that has been misused, abused, and to a certain extent prostituted and turned into a business.
They will ask how
the
it became
religious
visible.
business. A religious business that turns into political business, that turns into military business, and the rest of it. I just saw a picture of a big spiritual leader. It's a painting. It's becoming viral. It's a painting of a political leader. There's a church at the back. And there is kind of a crown over the head, a golden crown. At the right-hand side, there is the priest, and the left-hand side must be the Minister of Defense, right? It doesn't matter from which country. I'm not referring to a particular person or from anywhere. See, there's a distortion of the concept of the truth and the values and all that stuff. But that's the truth. That within that space, this emptiness, if you can call it, there is an energy, right? And that energy, somehow part of it exploded as a Big Bang, right? Exploded of all this. Spirituality does not oppose science, right? On the contrary, the first scientists were the spiritual people, but they didn't need any instrument to measure any of it, right? They were the instrument, the laboratory, the experiment, the result, and everything, right? I am all that. So in reality, nothing came from anywhere, but one can explain somehow a mind that is in a dual state, a consciousness that it is in a dual state, right? In that way. And within that void, that emptiness, that nothingness, right? An energy movement began, right? And part of that energy, part of it, an infinitesimal part of it, got manifested as the universe, right? The 5 elements came into existence according to, there's no difference. First, ether, right? Then fire, then water, right? Then the earth, and so on. Huh? And then the species, the so-called evolution began, right? Then human came into existence. Humans are mammals, right? The sexual relationship, the father put the sperm in the body of the mother, right? The first organ that is created is the heart, and from the heart rises the rest of the body. And then the brain grows, and that little body is already complete, so to speak. Then that energy shines in the brain of that little body and give consciousness to that body, and how consciousness appears. See? You see, when the one undifferentiated energy apparently turns into many, multiplies, it divides, it hasn't divided at all. Is she gone? Let's wait until she comes back. Maybe she can show this recording to the kids. And the baby is born without ego. But the ego also begins to manifest, see, body identity. It's like telling children stories about Santa Claus and then tell them that Santa Claus doesn't exist. That's the difference between the so-called civilized people and non-civilized people. See, the non-civilized people tell the truth to the kids straight away from the beginning. Is she back? ¿Me preguntas en español hoy? ¿El grupo de habla hispana, todos en Samadhi? ¿O solo Ricardo? Ludmila, how is the body design doing? Are you in India? It looks like. We're having a tour from Dublin. I have no idea. This house is a mystery.
I can't hear you.
I already, because you disappeared, I didn't know you were going to come back. So
Yeah, my battery died, so I'm back.
you're also computers. How old are your kids?
4 and 7 boys. They interested why, like the general theory that monkeys try to think and then evolved into humans. So they're asking why there are still monkeys left, why they not all became humans. And I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe they had a choice.
Tell them to be happy that they are part of the ones that are no longer monkeys.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell them that human is still have the human, they already have the human body, but they still have the monkey mind.
Yeah. This is true.
In reality, it's absolutely irrelevant. Is human come from the monkeys or from the dolphins or from the aliens or from Anunnakis or any other Nakis?
Well, I'm trying to say that I don't really know.
What is interesting in the human being is that it developed the intellect and it must be used properly. See? To have this existential way of thinking, right? To know what the truth is. But first, normally they question the world. See? Maybe they will question God first.
Yeah,
God,
they ask what it is.
yeah. Then they question God, then they question the world. And when they realize that none of these answers will satisfy them, see, they will question themselves, who am I? No, who is God? And what the world is, and why it is as it is, but who am I? And what am I doing here? I'm here to raise this question sooner or later. Who am I? So,
Yeah.
in spite of from where the human body is coming from, monkey or whatever, because of the development of the intellect, right? There's a possibility of realizing oneself as the absolute reality and to spend the rest of one's life in a state of equanimity, so to speak, indifferently of life's circumstances. Pleasure, pain, which is basically pleasure, pain, right? Gain and loss, success and failure, praise and criticism, right? And the rest of it. And life and death. Because the loss of the ego sense doesn't make you bulletproof. Right? The bullet will shoot you. Right? You just will be okay with it. Because there is no choice. Because there is no chooser and a choice. So to say that God is limited to a particular something is absurd. It's an absurd. Even some religious people say that the only holy one is God. If everything is coming from God and everything is God, so everything is holy. So there is nothing in the world that is not divine. Huh? So all this, I remember my preceptors, I can call it in that way, that The problem was created, see, by the so-called custodians of the truth, meaning by that the priest, right? That in their ignorance, in their confusions, right, are confusing those, they are confusing more to those who are already confused and asking questions, right? And they come up with all these stories about this, that, and the other. It's like to say that the ocean is holy and what is contained within it, but came out of it, right? The corals, the seaweed, the fishes, and the rest. No, they are not holy. Only the ocean is holy, right? If they are made out of the ocean, then they are made out of the same essence, right? So what is good and evil here, and what is right and wrong, this, that, and the other, right? Now, the ego will use that to justify its nonsense. Right? The ego was necessary. I normally don't speak about that, not to go into that area, but ego was necessary for some, it's a necessary evil, so to speak. So the life as we know it, which is lived up in an apparent duality, in an imaginary subject-object relationship, could take place, right? So one species can recognize the same species as its own, and the different one as another species. And to be honest with you, there is nothing romantic about life. When people see the moon, and again, the moon doesn't make you romantic. See, we romanticize the moon, or the stars, or as the sunset, or whatever. All this is silly human romanticism, right? The moon may have an impact, right, in the body, in the ocean, and even in the water, in the body. This is why full moon, even in the mind, see, people go bananas when there is full moon, right? Energy is an arousal of energy level, and so on, etc., etc. But this has to be spoken as it is, not creating ideas about it, right? So everybody in this world are running after someone to eat that someone, or running away from someone not to be eaten by someone else. Huh? Even trees, right, develop thorns as a self-defense mechanism, as a mechanism of survival. So the ego is part of that mechanism, right? Survival mechanism, competition, and the violence that it generates. So in human, as an evolutionary process, if we can call it like that, works in the same way like the rest of nature. But in humans, it's already going too far, right? This is why now and then the so-called saints, seers, saints, avatars appear to put a little bit of balance, to bring a little bit of equilibrium within this chaos. That's all.
Yep.
Tomorrow I can explain the rest of it because it's a little bit late. So the rest of the explanation is a little bit more, maybe another 10-15 minutes. Right?
Okay.
So where we
Yep.
left, ego, and then we can talk about, remind me tomorrow, see? When the ego begins to be a problem, right? When?
I will.
3 characteristics of the mind, the rest of nature and all that. You can explain, does your kids speak English? The most, no? They live in Lithuania, the most.
No, a little bit.
Little bit. Mostly
Yeah, better in
Lithuania.
Russian.
Many Russian is no longer in the school in Lithuania as a language in education.
I'm from Russia, from Moscow.
Oh, you live in Moscow. You're not the one from Lithuania. Ah, from Moscow. Ah, Irina is from Lithuania, right?
Live in Moscow, born in Siberia.
Oh. Nice. Okay, then explain to you. You can explain to them or you can translate to them, right?
Yeah, I will translate, of course.
So I didn't mean to offend anybody with the analogy of the people take it personally, big time, I'm telling you. Can get offended, disrespected. It's nothing personal anyway.
There is nobody.
But I know, no. See, if you bring these values, that are the values that come, so to speak, values, when the ego disappears, it doesn't work. Why? Because the people believe them. They don't know as a matter of fact. And then I believe in something, and to avoid the other values, there's a tendency to repress and suppress, to control. Repress, suppress, and control this, and trying to become like that. And this is a time bomb. Time bomb, Nancy?
Yeah,
Right?
time bomb.
Yeah. Whatever is, sooner or later, all that will explode. So I try to bring peace by the means of repression and control, and it becomes more messy. So all this has to come out of understanding, right? And direct knowledge of it.
Yeah.
This is why when it's realized that the ego doesn't exist, there is no conflict with the ego. See, nobody wants to fight with the ego. Nobody is against the ego. See, nobody wants to, no. Because it is understood that it is okay. But look what it does. Even though it was inevitable, right? Okay, see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana. До завтра.
Пока.
Пока.